Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another Hard Count podcast. And today we're going to be going over my Week 5 NFL Power Rankings. We just finished up a very exciting Week 4 of NFL football. And yeah, we're going to be talking about some teams that really impressed me last week and some teams that are going to be falling a lot because they did not impress me whatsoever. So let's get right into it. My 32nd team, and that is none other than the New York Jets, staying here at 32. I don't think I'm going to get too many questions about this one. They're the worst team in the NFL. Adam Gase needs to be fired. This defense let the Brett Rippin-led Broncos score 37 points on them. And I feel bad for Sam Darnold. He's stuck in New York. I really think he had potential if he could go somewhere else. It's being wasted in New York. So yeah, the New York Jets are at 32. They're staying there, and I expect them to stay there for a little while. At number 31, we have their stadium, the New York Jets stadium mates, the New York Giants. The defense did show a tiny bit of promise, but they're staying here at 31 because, Daniel Jones, that offense has looked very, very bad, and we were expecting that to be the strength of this team. It's been a big weakness. They haven't been able to move the ball whatsoever. Obviously, the loss of Saquon Barkley really hurts them. But I just can't move them up here because the defense did show that they were able to stop the Rams' scheme somewhat, but it's still a bad defense. I'm not going to ignore what happened the first 3 weeks where they got torn up by the Nick Mullins-led 49ers. So the Giants are staying here at 31. I was slightly impressed by their defense this week against the Rams, but still, I'm keeping the Giants here at 31. At number 30, we're keeping the Denver Broncos. And hey, they got a win, but it was against the New York Jets, the 32nd team on here. They're not moving anywhere. Brett Rippin did have some periods where he actually looked decent. He made some good throws here and there, but there were so many bad turnover-worthy plays throughout the game. It was discouraging. So I don't really know what the Broncos are going to do at quarterback. I'm excited to see what they can do when Drew Lock comes back. Their defense is not bad. It's about average. So I expect this team to go up when Drew Lock comes back, and hopefully we can see that potential come to fruition with Drew Lock. But right now, I can't move him any higher than 30 with being led by Brett Rippin and an offense that has just been ravaged by injuries and some stars injured on defense as well. At number 29, again, we're keeping the Washington football team. These bottom 4 teams are all staying put. Hard for me to really move them around too much. We got news that Kyle Allen is going to be starting over Dwayne Haskins, and that, to me, is not a great move. I can see what they were trying to do because I know Haskins doesn't have too much upside, but there's no real future answer that they've got to test out there in Washington. And I thought Haskins actually did not play too poorly against the Ravens defense that has been pretty good throughout the season. There's a lot of talent in that secondary. He made some good throws throughout the game. He was actually PFF's 8th highest graded quarterback of the week. So he did not play too poorly. I'm not a huge fan of the start. And Kyle Allen has been a turnover-worthy play machine. He almost had as many as Jameis Winston on 150 less snaps. So Washington is staying here at 29. Their front 7 is good, but Terry McLaurin is good. We'll see. They're a pretty bad team overall. So yeah, the Washington football team staying here at 29. At number 28, we have the Jacksonville Jaguars. They're dropping down 3 spots here. And I got to keep them above the bottom 4. I don't think they have deserved to be down there quite yet. But they're looking more and more like the team I was expecting, the team that I ranked 32nd in the NFL to start the year, the team that I had going 3-13. And the lack of talent on that team is really showing. The return of Chark did help Minshew. It's going to be a rough one for that Jaguars team because there's not too much talent on the offense, not too much talent on the defense either. They cannot get pressure on the quarterback outside of Josh Allen, who is really their only source of pressure on the quarterback. And other from that, it's almost non-existent. Just a bad team. We're talking about a lot of these right now as I just talked about those bottom 4 teams and how the Jaguars here at 28. But we'll see if they can get back on their feet. I'm not too confident in it. I'm not confident in Minshew leading this group of this untalented group to more than just a few wins this season. At number 27, we have the Houston Texans. And well, there you go. We got our first coaching fire of the NFL season. And, I have mixed feelings on this because I've never been a huge fan of Bill O'Brien as a coach. I don't think he was terrible. I don't think he's the worst coach in the NFL or anything. But him as a general manager and a coach, to me, just did not work for the Houston Texans. We saw him make some very questionable moves. Now DeAndre Hopkins is thriving in Arizona, and David Johnson not so much thriving here in Houston. I think, I don't know how much it's going to help them this year. I drop them many spots here because I was really hoping that last week against the Vikings, we were going to see a step forward. We're going to see them finally not play a team that's in the top 8, and we're going to see them really compete. But they did not do that whatsoever. They were rolled over by the Vikings. It wasn't a very close game. So, I think in order for this team to be competitive, we need to see Deshaun Watson take that extra step. I've been a little disappointed this year. I was hoping to see some improvement in Deshaun Watson's game. And, firing Bill O'Brien doesn't help that right now. I think it might in the future. But right now, I can't reward them for firing Bill O'Brien. I'm dropping him down 9 spots here. It might seem a little bit harsh, but I can't see him any higher on this list. At number 26, we have the Atlanta Falcons. Similar story here, another 0-4 team. I don't think this Falcons team is as bad as 0-4 because they could very well be 3-1 at the moment, but they're blowing leads for a reason. Dan Quinn is one of the worst coaches in the NFL. I think he's another guy. We just talked about a guy that was fired. Dan Quinn is a guy that I think is on the verge of being fired. We'll see what they can do against the Carolina team that we'll talk about soon. This Sunday. The offense is very good, but it was a concern because against that Packers defense, which had not been good for the first 3 weeks, they were only able to put up 16 points. Calvin Ridley was shut down by Jair Alexander. And we know this Falcons defense is terrible. So I'm dropping them down 4 spots here. The offense was really the only reason they were up there in the 19-20 spot. But if they can't win games and their offense isn't going to perform at that elite level every single week, I got to drop them down here. Falcons at 26. At number 25, dropping down 3 spots, we have got the Detroit Lions. We're talking about all the coaches that are on the hot seat right now. And the Lions coach, Matt Patricia, is certainly one of them. To me, we saw a couple weeks ago that he had a good coaching week. He shut down Kyler Murray and the Arizona Cardinals. That is not aging so well because the Panthers' terrible defense led up 14 points to that offense this past weekend. And, that was part of the reason that I bet on the Saints beating the Lions, even with all those injuries, because I knew that Matt Patricia's coaching or good level of coaching wasn't sustainable. Matthew Stafford, as we know, is not going to be able to save this organization from what it actually is, and that's a bad team. Kenny Golladay finally came back, and that helped the offense, but the defense is a mess. Jeff Okudah, who's their first-round pick, has a 29.3 PFF grade right now, one of the lowest-graded rookies. So it's just a mess on defense. I thought they were going to make more of that personnel that they got in free agency, and we've seen some flashes of good, but nothing great, nothing sustainable in that Lions defense. The offense has been fine. I think it's a little bit confusing at the moment. Marvin Jones was shut down this past week against cornerbacks that weren't even the Saints' best. So I don't know what to think of this Lions team right now. They were beaten pretty handily against the Saints. They blew another lead. I drop them down 3 spots here. They're at 25. At number 24, we've got a team staying put here, the Miami Dolphins. We've been talking about all the coaches that are on the hot seat. It's a nice, fresh relief off of that. Brian Flores is not on the hot seat. He is a great coach. And I think the main question for the Dolphins is how long until we see Tua. There is some pressure on Miami because we've seen how well Joe Burrow, Justin Herbert have been playing for the Chargers in Cincinnati so far this season. And then we're like, well, let's see what we got here in Tua. And I think I have mixed emotions on this because, they already have said that Fitzpatrick is going to be the starter for week 5. And I think that this week might determine his job. If he has a good week, we might keep Tua on the bench, see how Fitzpatrick plays for the next couple weeks. If he doesn't, I think we might be looking at Tua playing in week 6. But, My one concern for Tua starting, and the one reason that I might be a little bit hesitant if I was the Dolphins, is because that O-line is so bad. Fitzpatrick's better experience. He's able to get the ball out quick, has a very good pocket presence. He's able to avoid a lot of sacks despite his lack of mobility, similar to the way Tom Brady does, that Tua would not be able to. So you go from a guy that's able to avoid quite a bit of sacks to a guy that's going to get sacked more than often because he is a rookie and he's inexperienced. So, and it's an injury-prone Tua. So we'll see what they do with that. I still think it would be a very exciting thing to see Tua go out there and play, see what the Dolphins have in him. But yeah, right now I think Fitzpatrick will start this week. We'll see how he plays. And I think if he has a poor game, we're going to see Tua in week 6. But yeah. So that's why I've got the Dolphins here at 24. They're not moving too much for me. At number 23, we have a team that is moving up quite a bit. The Carolina Panthers +5 for a very convincing win this weekend against the Arizona Cardinals. And I think, this offense is very fun. We thought that it was going to be screwed without Christian McCaffrey, but another example of why running backs are the least valuable position in the NFL at the moment. Mike Davis, nobody's heard of him before, comes in and plays that role of Christian McCaffrey pretty well. They're 2-0 without Christian McCaffrey, 0-2 with Christian McCaffrey. The defense has stepped it up a little bit. I'm not going to give them too much credit because I think a lot of that had to do with the offense of the Arizona Cardinals struggling, Cliff Kingsbury struggling to get that offense going. So I'm not going to give them too much credit. I'm not completely sold on the Panthers. I put out a tweet yesterday saying that I'm selling my Panthers stock, but I have to move them up here because other teams need to move down, and they've impressed me. So it's a very fun team. Matt Rule has done a good job with the new coaching job. So yeah, the Panthers here at 23. At number 22, we've got the Cincinnati Bengals moving up 4 spots here. And, they beat the Jaguars, which might not be the best win, but it was pretty convincing. I think that Joe Burrow is a top 10 quarterback at this point already in the NFL. He, on short to intermediate throws, is elite, one of the best in the NFL. He has been the highest graded quarterback, according to PFF, in that range. So, his weakness is, throwing downfield, but that's what we expected from Joe Burrow. He's everything we expected. This offense is stepping up. T. Higgins is stepping up as that number 2 option because A.J. Green is teetering. He is not looking good whatsoever. Tyler Boyd looks great. The defense is shaky at times. There's some bright spots on it. I think it's going to get together more as the year goes on. But right now, I'm really liking what I've seen from the Bengals. I think they could be a scary team, and they're going to be a fun team to watch later down the stretch. They've got an unfortunate matchup with Baltimore. I don't think they match up well with Baltimore at all. But yeah, Bengals at 22. I've been impressed with them. At number 21, we've got the Las Vegas Raiders here, moving down 1 spot. And, I think that it's hard for me to really judge them from that game against the Bills. The Bills have been playing on fire, and for a lot of that game, it felt like they were in it and that they could win that game very easily. I've been impressed with Gruden as a coach. The offense is very fun, but the defense is very bad. It's a big concern, especially in that secondary. And also, they're not really able to get pressure on the quarterback either. So it's a team that I'm not going to criticize too much because that score, I think, was actually closer than it seemed. They made some bad plays there at the end that really allowed the Bills to separate on the scoreboard. But the Raiders, they moved down 1 spot here. I'm not going to take too much away from that Bills game. I still think they're a solid team, but definitely a fraudulent team 2 weeks ago when they were 2-0. So yeah, the Raiders here at 21. At number 20, we've got the Arizona Cardinals. Cardinals are big droppers, -5 spots here this week. And this is another team. We just talked about the Raiders being 2-0. Cardinals were 2-0, and they've been a disappointment since. I like Kyler Murray a lot. I like Cliff Kingsbury a lot. I like the pieces on that offense. What we're missing is the drive-to-drive consistency from everybody on that offense. And, we know Kyler Murray has that floor. He's going to make a couple great plays with his talent alone, a couple amazing throws, a couple great runs. But the question is, how consistent can he stay through the course of the game, drive in, drive out? And we haven't seen it those past couple weeks. We've seen a bunch of drives where it's 3 and out, or he makes a turnover and stuff like that. So we need to see more consistency there. Not been very impressed by the defense. And, I don't think that's too much of an issue, though, that we weren't expecting this defense to be very good. That's not why people were high on Arizona. They were high on Arizona because they have a great offense, which we have seen at times. We needed to be more than just at times for this team to be very good. So the Cardinals are here at 20. I'm buying their stock, though. I think they will bounce back. I like Cliff Kingsbury. I like that offense a lot. So, yeah, I think we're going to see him moving up in the next couple weeks. But right now, they're at 20. At number 19, we've got the Chicago Bears. And we saw them play the Colts this week. And that was a game that I was very uncertain of how it was going to turn out. The Bears were 3-0. The Colts were 2-1. And we saw. And we were talking about that game of uncertainty. Now we have certainty that the Bears still do not have a good quarterback on their roster. Foles, he's very volatile. I think he does raise the ceiling of the offense, but he has so many terrible throws through the course of the game that it's inexcusable. It's not worth the upside with Foles for all the terrible plays he makes. And, that's why I was very hesitant to move the Bears very high at 3-0. The defense has looked good, 10th in Football Outsiders defensive DVOA. Some talent on that defense as well. I expect the Bears to continue to struggle, though. That bad quarterback play is going to continue to hurt them throughout the course of the season. So, yeah, Bears at 19 here, dropping down 5 spots. We'll see how the quarterback play continues through the next couple weeks. I still like this team, though. They're at 19. At number 18, we've got biggest risers of the week, the Philadelphia Eagles. And they're big movers this week, similar to the Vikings last week, who moved up 7 spots from 27 to 20. This Eagles team, I got what I wanted to see, and that's what I wanted to see Carson Wentz show leadership and show flashes of the quarterback that we saw last year, the quarterback that is able to carry his injured roster to being a good team. And I'm not having the Eagles here at like 10. They're at 18. It's nothing special, but it's a very talented roster when they're not injured. They need to get healthy. They're going to get healthy throughout the course of the year, and they will be fine when the injuries come back. I'm moving them up preemptively here. They're at 18. I like them quite a bit. They're able to get a pass rush with that interior defensive line. And so I like the Eagles quite a bit. Wentz looked very good in that second half. I have hope for the Eagles. I'm moving up 9 spots this week. So yeah, the Eagles are at 18. At number 17, we've got the Los Angeles Chargers. And, this is why Tua and the Dolphins have pressure. Herbert has looked very, very good. And he's what we expected, or the upside. We're getting more of that upside that we expected with Herbert. I was a little skeptical of him in coming out of the draft because we've seen mistake-prone quarterbacks like him struggle, but he's done an awesome job. We still see those flashes of bad decisions here and there, and unfortunately, we saw one of those happen at the worst possible times in the game against the Buccaneers. But Herbert has been very, very promising. I hope Anthony Lynn doesn't bench him for Tyrod Taylor. There's nothing good that's going to come out of that. We saw him light up this Buccaneers defense that is very good. And, it's unfortunate. Austin Eckler will be out for the next 4 to 6 weeks. I'm not thinking it's going to hurt him too much. They've got Joshua Kelly, Justin Jackson. They can see a little bit more what they have with Justin Jackson. But yeah, I'm impressed by this offense quite a bit. This defense, I'm not too worried about. Brady had an awesome game. The Chargers defense will rebound. It is a very talented team. So yeah, the Chargers move up 4 spots here. I was very impressed by Herbert in that offense. At number 16, we've got the Minnesota Vikings. The Vikings are looking great. I moved them up big last week. I was just talking about that when I was talking about the Eagles, but I moved them up big last week. Some people may have questioned it, but I think I've seen what I wanted to see from the Vikings, and especially on offense, getting back to what the offense we were hoping to see, getting the ball moving on the ground with Dalvin Cook and that Gary Kubiak scheme, allowing Kirk Cousins to feel comfortable with it. Justin Jefferson is taking over that Stephon Diggs role very well. I don't think he's better than Stephon Diggs, but he is PFF's highest graded wide receiver at the moment. He's playing very, very well from that slot position. He is the wide receiver too. This offense needed. Take some of the pressure off of Adam Thielen. Give Kirk Cousins another weapon to throw to. Allow the ball to get moving on the ground. This offense has looked very good so in the past couple weeks. I think this is what we're going to see for the rest of the season. The defense has looked bad. That's why I'm not moving them up too much. That's why they're here at 16. I think they're not going to be an awesome team this year, but I'm moving up 3 spots here at 16. They're a top half team now because of that offense. At number 15, we have the Dallas Cowboys, and just yikes. Yikes is all I have to say for that performance against the Browns. They let up 49 points to the Browns offense that, is good, but the defense is terrible. It's a huge concern for the Cowboys. The secondary is abysmal. Trevon Diggs has looked very, very bad. And, there was some hope for this defense. And I was not as hopeful. I kept saying the secondary is a big concern for me. The loss of Byron Jones is a bigger loss than people might think. So that secondary is a huge concern. We saw it really struggle this past week. I'm not too concerned about the offense. The offense is going to put up good numbers no matter what. Dak will look good. The offense, CeeDee Lamb, looks promising. That's why they're at 15. They dropped down 4 spots here. They dropped down a little more in my head than 4 spots. But I can't move them down any lower than the teams below them. But right now, the Cowboys are at 15. At number 14, we have the San Francisco 49ers dropping down 2 spots here after a loss to the Eagles on Sunday Night Football. And I think we're all just waiting for this team to be healthy at this point. We know a healthy 49ers team is a top 6 team in the league. Obviously made it to the Super Bowl last year. And, I'm not too concerned about that loss to the Eagles. I only dropped them 2 spots here. And part of the reason is I was very impressed by one team that moved ahead of them. And I think that loss had a lot to do with the poor quarterback play on behalf of Nick Mullins, CJ Beathard. So, there was good news for the 49ers in that game also. Kittle came back, looked like a superhero as we all know him. Ayuk seems to be breaking out for that offense. He looked great. We saw that amazing hurdle on that play for the touchdown. Not too much to say about the 49ers. We know they have a great coach and a very promising future. They just need to get healthy as soon as possible. Try not to lose many more games to stay in that race for the NFC West. At number 13, we have the Cleveland Browns. And hey, how about the Browns? This offense came to life. This was the offense we were all hoping to see. OBJ had the breakout game we were looking for. And my question is was this the Browns clicking week? Is this the Browns we're going to see going forward? And I'm hoping so. Stefanski has looked like a great coaching hire so far. There's a reason that Vikings offense was so successful for such a long time. Stefanski was a big part of it. And ironically, Baker is kind of starting to remind me of Kirk Cousins a little bit as well. Not as good as Cousins, I don't think quite yet, but makes a lot of great plays, great throws throughout the game. There's always something missing, though. And, we never know what we're going to see from Baker Mayfield. Last week, though, we saw him play very well. The defense is still a concern. Secondary is very bad. They're going to get picked apart. I think that's partly due to injuries, but it is still a struggling defense nonetheless. Myles Garrett as a offense's worst nightmare, though. So, yeah, the Browns right now, if they can continue this, are a team to definitely be concerned about in the AFC. At number 12, we have the Tennessee Titans moving up 1 spot. And, they didn't play this week. I don't have too much to say about them. They're moving up 1 spot mostly because of what's going on around them. So, yeah, nothing really there to say for the Titans. At number 11, we have the Colts moving up 5 spots here. Big movers for the Colts. And this Colts team seems legit. This is more what I expected from the Colts entering the season. Everyone hit the panic button when they lost to Jacksonville. But, and they're proving that this was a fluke. That game was a fluke. This Colts defense is legit. I pumped the brakes a little bit on that Colts defense hype train because of that bad competition they had faced weeks 1 to 3. But they're looking better. They shut down Nick Foles in that Bears offense. And this team is what Rivers needed. A team for the Chargers, he could not have a bad game and come out with a win. Now he can much more do that with the Colts. This really elevates the Colts ceiling. They're able to win without their quarterback playing very well. So you add Phillip Rivers playing well. I really like this Colts team. They're at 11 here. I expect them to be able to crack the top 10 in the next couple weeks. But yeah, right now, Colts are at 11. At number 10, we have got the Los Angeles Rams. And they're dropping down 1 spot here. I wasn't too impressed with them. They got the win. Jared Goff did not play nearly as well. There was definitely some concerns in that game against the Giants. They The offense really could not get the ball moving against this very bad Giants defense that allowed 36 points to Nick Mullins the week before. That offense of the Rams may be getting figured out by the league. It's so play action heavy. I don't think it's fluky, but again, very reliant on the play action. Jared Goff getting easy completions in the system, schemed up by McVay. And I think maybe the rest of the league is catching up just a little bit, but we know McVay is a brilliant offensive mind. I expect some changes in the next couple of weeks for that offense. Maybe we'll see something new. But yeah, I really like the Rams still. They're a top 10 team. Yeah, the Rams at 10. At number 9, we're talking about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And hey, Brady has looked very, very good so far. And that's what the Buccaneers need. My one concern for the Buccaneers, the offense is very reliant on Brady making multiple big-time throws throughout the game at this point. And that is a little bit of a concern, but Brady is hitting them. I think that's one of the strengths of Brady's game, hitting big-time throws. The offense is clicking. That Mike Evans-Brady connection looked much better this week. The offense is getting things together. And I knew this team would take a couple weeks to get it together, and it's finally coming together for the Buccaneers. So they move up one spot for me. I have been very impressed by this team. I can't move them up too much more than one spot because of the teams ahead of them, but they definitely impressed me this week. And yeah, they showed some confidence, resiliency. The Buccaneers here at 9. At number 8, we've got the Pittsburgh Steelers. I was talking about the Titans a little earlier. This game was not going to be played. It's been rescheduled for later in the season. So yeah, the Steelers here at 8. No reason to move them up. No reason to move them down. So yeah, they're staying here at 8. At number 7, we have the New Orleans Saints, and they're moving down a spot. And again, you don't want to just look at one team's ranking. You want to look at the whole big picture because I was impressed by the Saints. -1 is not what I want to put next to the Saints name, but I was just very impressed by some other teams this week, so I had to move them down a spot. But Drew Brees looked great this past week. He was making all of the plays in the system that we're used to seeing Drew Brees make. And I had faith that he would. That's why I kept the Saints so high. I kept them at 6 last week, expecting Drew Brees to have a bounce back. He did, even without Michael Thomas. I think Michael Thomas's return is going to be huge for this offense. I'm not concerned about the Saints. I think that what we saw last week is definitely good enough for the Saints to be playoff and Super Bowl contenders. So I was impressed by the Saints quite a bit. Their defense was not great, but right now, Saints are looking good. Drew Brees is looking good. That's what they needed. That's what we were all needed to see from the Saints. They're at 7. At number 6, we've got another team dropping down one spot, the New England Patriots. And this was another team that I was impressed by, but I'm moving them down one spot. And it's not reflected on the scoreboard whatsoever because I think this team was one Cam Newton away from beating the Kansas City Chiefs. Bill Belichick showed why he's the best coach in the NFL, really slowing down Patrick Mahomes. I think that film helps a lot of teams in the NFL. And that defense played out of its mind, but the offense really struggled. The poor quarterback play, Jarrett Stidham, Brian Hoyer just would not cut it. It was bad. So many turnovers, so many bad plays on offense. And I'm not going to hold that against the Patriots though, because they're going to get Cam Newton back soon. We don't know if it's going to be this week or the week later, but they'll get him back. They will be just fine. I like the Patriots a lot. I was impressed by them this past week. And now we're moving on to number 5. At number 5, this is the reason that the Patriots and the Saints dropped down a spot despite me being impressed by them. And it's the Buffalo Bills. Josh Allen is playing like a top 5 quarterback in the NFL right now. And I don't know if he actually is a top 5 quarterback quite yet, but he is looking amazing. And we're seeing the emergence of Josh Allen. What were his weaknesses last season? His downfield passing, his decision making, and his downfield passing right now is looking like one of the best in the league. It's looking much improved. His decision making was rocky in the first few weeks, but against the Raiders defense last week, no turnover-worthy plays. He's yet to have 2 back-to-back weeks without having a turnover-worthy play. We'll see this week against Tennessee if that game happens. But I've been very impressed by Josh Allen. And Diggs has been an awesome addition. He's been a huge deep threat, a huge threat on that offense that has looked awesome. The Bills' defense has not been great. I still think it's a good defense, but not been particularly impressive to me. It's kind of funny how the role switched because last year the Bills defense was spectacular and the offense was holding them back. Right now, you can argue the opposite. So the Bills have looked very good. We should finally be looking at the Bills as Super Bowl contenders. They're here at 5, moving up 2 spots over the Patriots and the Saints. At number 4, we have the Seattle Seahawks. And, I think that it's hard to move the Seahawks down a spot again. Just another example of you want to look at the big picture, not just one team's ranking. Hard to drop the Seahawks because they really didn't do anything wrong. Russell Wilson has looked great. He's playing out of his head, playing at an MVP level. Right now, it's a two-way race between him and Aaron Rodgers, who we will talk about in just a second. Seattle defense is really the only reason they're not higher because the secondary is very bad. Allows the receivers just to get open at will. They haven't been able to get pressure much on the quarterback either. Seahawks at 4, I don't have too much to say. We all know the deal with them. Russell Wilson playing incredible. DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, very good weapons. So yeah, the Seahawks at 4, dropping down 1 spot from 3, but still very good team. At number 3, we've got the Packers. The offense looks incredible. Aaron Rodgers is playing like the best quarterback in football right now. He looks much more comfortable than he did last year, much more like prime Aaron Rodgers. Even when throwing to Robert Tonyan as his main target, even when Devontae Adams is out. He looks like he's having fun with that offense. He looks loose. And that offense has looked special. He has been incredible with not the best weapons. The return of Devontae Adams is going to help greatly. I don't know how this offense is going to be stopped right now. It's looked awesome. The defense is a concern for me still. They did not look too bad this past week against the Falcons offense, which had been very good through the first weeks. But they were able to get pressure on Matt Ryan. Jair Alexander has been playing awesome. Shut down Calvin Ridley. There are bright spots on this Packers defense, but I'm still concerned about it. The linebackers have not looked good. I'm not going to forget what happened in the first 3 weeks of the season. The Packers do move up a spot, though, because I was impressed by the defense, and, of course, the offense is elite. At number 2, we've got the Baltimore Ravens. Ravens are the second best team in football. I said it last week. I'm glad I kept them there. Not an overreaction. They've had some defensive issues. Don't get me wrong. Anthony Averett is in that slot coverage after Tavon Young was injured. Has been bad. Humphrey, we know Peters. They're both going to play well. Queen right now is a defensive liability. I think he is going to get more comfortable in that system throughout the course of the year. We know Wink Martindale is such a good defensive coordinator. I think they will figure it out. But the offense, it's looked very good. I think it's a little more Lamar Jackson reliant this year, but it's okay because Lamar Jackson is a guy you want to rely on. He's looked great against Washington. Couple bad plays here and there, made a lot of great throws, showed off his speed on that touchdown. Hollywood, Mark Andrews bounced back. And, I'm glad I kept the Ravens here at 2. They looked like it last week. We know the Ravens feed on bad teams, though. So I'm excited to see that mid-season when the schedule gets a little bit rockier. They've got hopefully a win here against Cincinnati for them that they can go to 4-1. At number 1, no question, the Kansas City Chiefs. They're the best team in football. Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid, Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Sammy Watkins. The list goes on and on for that team. Do I really have to say much more? They blew out Baltimore, who's the second best team on here. And yes, they didn't play particularly well against New England, but New England has been the Chiefs' kryptonite. There's no reason to move the Chiefs down. I don't think there's going to be a reason to move them down for a long time. Right now, the Chiefs are at 1, and I expect them to stay there. So yeah, the Chiefs at 1. And yeah, those were my Week 5 NFL Power Rankings. I hope you enjoyed the video. Like, subscribe. I'm at 99 subscribers. So if you can subscribe, that'd be huge. You could be my 100th subscriber. So yeah, thank you guys so much for listening. Until next time, peace.